I now call it to order. And let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Secretary, may we have a roll call, please?
Okay. Chairman Ernst,
Present?
Commissioner Blamire,
Present.
Commissioner McDermott,
Present.
Commissioner Each,
Present.
Commissioner Clark,
Present.
and Commissioner Bob. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Amendments to the agenda. I believe we're, right off the bat, we're going to have an amendment. Mr. Our city, our council attorney.
Sure.
I talked to you earlier. If you could go ahead and,
Mr. Chair, so item PC 17-73, which is an item that the commission has previously had public hearing on and had a decision is being brought back, and because you already had a public hearing, there's no need to do one again.
correct.
And so we're going to move that to the first public hearing item
All right.
in subsection 4 of the agenda.
Good, thank you. All right, so everyone understands that, the petitioner understands that. Everyone on the panel understands we're just going to pick up from what we left off at, once we get to that. Let's continue with the other items here before we get into the continued public hearings and the regular public hearings. We need an approval of minutes for both December 6th and January 3rd.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Move on the first set of minutes, the December 6th. That'll be a separate motion for approval.
Okay, we have a motion and second.
Okay, all in favor say aye for the.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes have been approved for December 6th, 2022. Motion for approval for the minutes on January 3rd, 2023. I have a motion for approval,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Each. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. Communications, staff, do you have any communications for us right now?
Just a reminder of your next Planning Commission meeting on April 4th, right here at 7 p.m.
Where is that? When? April 4th.
April 4th. Thank you.
Got it on the calendar.
I just want to bring to your attention again the reminder of the July 4th. Later, okay.
All right. Okay. So we're good with that. So now we're going to go into the public hearing section. Remember, we're moving the third item on the agenda, which was PC 1773, which was a resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving an application for a conditional use permit and substantially the attached form for proposed development consisting of 24 two-story townhomes on 2 parcels of real property generally located south of the Citadel Plaza, 134th Street, Northeast 3rd Court. The exact address was 13400 Northeast 3rd Court, west of 13330 and 13350 Northeast 3rd Court, south of 13310 Northeast 3rd Court, north of 13270 Northeast 3rd Court, specifically identified with the Miami-Dade folio numbers 06-2230-002-0121 and 06-2230-000-0122 and totaling approximately 1.52 acres in accordance with Article 3, Division 4, Sections 3-402 through Sections 3-407, Article 4, Division 2, Section 4-202, Section 4-203A, Sections 4-204, Sections 4-205 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances, Chapter 29, entitled Land Development Regulations, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. So, staff, this is a continued item from the last meeting, which is, refresh everyone's memory, we tabled to now, and we had asked that staff come back to us, and we had asked that a report be given as to how they were going to deal with some of the issues that we brought out, namely the drainage in that area, and a few other things. If staff, if you can enlighten me what they got back to you, so we can go ahead and proceed further. I believe we have a legal opinion on that, and if there are any other administrative things that you need to address for us.
Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. So, as you recall, this item was tabled to the March 2023 hearing date. Members of the Planning Commission were awaiting an update from our Public Works Department as to what studies or what plans would be put in place for the Northeast Third Court area. Since that time, at the December City Council meeting, staff did provide a public presentation on their plans, and they've also followed it up with a written plan of action. The main overlying study that they will be accomplishing is the Stormwater Master Plan update. It was initially done in the year 2000, and then it was done in 2012, so it is scheduled to be done in 2024. Of note, the prior two studies never included this area because this is a recently annexed area. At the time that the two prior studies were completed, this area was considered a part of Miami-Dade County, and it was never taken into consideration. So this study that is scheduled to be completed in early 2024 should generate a significant impact for capital improvements and investments in that area. In addition, the city currently has in place a consultant who will design drainage improvements specific to Northeast Third Court between Northeast 131st Street and Northeast 135th Street, the subject area of this development. This design is scheduled for completion by October of 2023. One of the concerns that city administration and specifically the city manager has brought to my attention is that the consultant's design and engineering for this project needs to either account for this new development or take it out of the equation in order to be accurate. And so the reason that it is placed on tonight's agenda is we are asking for a recommendation one way or the other so that we can get finality from the city council as to whether this development is going to be part of the study or not. Otherwise, any study that comes out targeting this area won't be accurate, and that's the fear that city administration has.
Correct. So regardless of how we vote tonight, either for it or against it, action will still be brought forth by the city, regardless of whether or not it's approved by us.
Yes, the city manager has indicated that it will be placed for consideration by the city council. We want a recommendation, either up or down, denial or approval. But if need be, in order to get these improvements in place for the community, for those residents,
Right.
they will place it on the agenda with no recommendation if they have to, because we are getting, it is a significant impact to the residents, the flooding in that area. And so we do need to move forward with the plan.
Did the city reach out after or during the process of communicating this request for a report? Did they reach out to any of the citizens of that area to let them know that there is some action that the city would undertake?
It is my understanding that all of those concerns were addressed publicly at the city council meeting when this presentation was given by Public Works. And then also leading up to that, I believe there was interactions with staff and some of the concerned residents in the area.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. I'm going to go ahead and open up discussion again, just quickly to address the report that we just got back from the city, that there will be some action being taken. So, and then after, each one of you care to have any input into this or express any desire to either vote or against this, be glad to hear you out on this before we issue a call for a vote. Naomi? I'm sorry, Ms. Miller?
That's fine. So I just want to be clear. They received our feedback and they came up with a plan. Nevertheless, the plan is not concrete.
The plan won't be concrete unless we know whether to include this development or not,
Okay,
because it's for design. We've hired a design consultant. He needs to know what the impacts of this development will be. If it's gonna be rejected, then obviously he'll design accordingly.
okay.
But if it is approved, it would be a lot harder for them to go back and redesign and taking into account this development. So that's the concern city administration has, is that
Right.
we really want to move forward as quick as we can to
Right.
address the concerns. So we need to have a decision.
Right.
You know, are we designing with this development in place or are we not?
Right.
What, I'm sorry.
Well, in other words, by us, I want to tread very carefully the way I say this. We are given an option, if I'm not mistaken. If we do reject this, some action will be taken. If we
By
say-
who? What kind of action are we talking?
By the city.
By the city to improve the area?
Well, yes, there would be a plan put in place. If we send it to them, as Madam Attorney just stated, they could just accept it the way that it's come to us now without perhaps not even looking at that plan.
I'm totally, I feel like I'm chasing my tail.
Well,
We want to see the area improved, the infrastructure
do.
improved to alleviate the flooding, correct? And we don't, is that going to happen, or what is this plan about? I'm reaching for something and I don't understand it.
Okay. All right, as the city attorney, she made it very clear. They came back, as Commissioner Blamur said, they came back with a plan after listening.
Who
last
came
time.
back with the plan?
Public Works, it said that they're going to do several things. One, they need to update the stormwater master plan because it doesn't include the area. That will result in some other capital projects that will come out of whatever that master plan says. The second piece of it is the design work that they already are contracted for. That design needs to know, the designer needs to know, is this project going to be in there or not? Because it will affect the design of the drainage improvements for that area. That make sense?
Okay.
but that is the city council's determination.
City council the plan is already in place.
Right.
And city council just needs to decide, city council will ultimately decide on this project, whether you all make a recommendation of approval or a recommendation of denial.
Right.
We're trying to get you all to just, there's a plan, there's
Right.
action
Just
that they will
send
be
it forward
moving
to them.
forward, and city council will make that ultimate recommendation, and then that will trigger how that design for those stormwater improvements along Third
Right.
Court
Right.
will be handled.
So if this project is turned down, how does that affect the design of the infrastructure? That's what I'm
They
trying to,
design it without that project being considered.
Because right now, as it stands, there's no stormwater infrastructure in place
okay, I got
Right.
that part.
for that property. They will have to do, as I've told you guys at the last time we met, that at DRC, they'll be required to provide detailed stormwater calculations to not only retain it on their stormwater on their site, but also to actually increase that minimum requirement by 10%,
The developer or
the developer,
right,
for their site.
and it's on their dime.
That's correct,
All right.
because that's what our
This
code
is-
requires. And
right.
And the conditional use permit and our code says you're requesting bonus units, and one of the conditions are you either develop a stormwater retention amenity, or you do 10% over the minimum. They are doing
Right.
10% over the minimum.
Right.
So that will also affect, those calculations will affect the designer
Right.
and what they come up with ultimately for those third court.
Well, my
improvements.
feeling is, my vote against this project is to send a message to them that what they brought to us was far from acceptable. So the council's going to get, from me at least, my vote against this in order for them to be able to decide whether or not they want to side with that developer, to go with that plan, or to go ahead and allow the city to go forward with the plans to fix everything by kind of forcing them, this is what you need to do in order for that project to go forward. Because they need that message as far as I'm concerned, and us rejecting it and sending it to the city council and letting the city council talk to them is where I stand at this point. I don't know how anybody else feels on this. Or
So I have two questions. Number one, have we asked the residents how they feel about the plan that was submitted?
no, because we didn't submit it. The city council,
It was presented to
there
city
was a public-
council by Public Works at a public hearing.
yeah.
Oh, it was a public hearing. What was the feedback from the residents? Are they satisfied with it?
That was
We
not
don't
the
know.
purpose of
Now,
that.
this is not a public hearing.
No,
Please, folks, don't raise your hands or,
Answer that.
or,
It was-
I'm trying to
They did a
understand.
presentation in December
Mhm,
before city council of what Ms. Warren told you
mhm.
happened. As to the comments back from the public, I cannot answer that.
Okay, so personally, I feel like the residents came forward. They were adamant about what they wanted and what they did not want. And if we came up with a plan and we did not share that plan with them, I cannot go ahead with good conscience and vote for it. Because they're the one coming forward and saying they don't want this and this is why. If we have a plan, then we should present that plan to them, get, an understanding, get an agreement, and if they're okay with it, and then we can present the plan to the developer to say, okay, the people are okay to move forward, these are the conditions, and then they proceed.
and
But
that'll be in the hands of the city council. If we reject it, then it's up to them, and that's been my point all along.
well,
as
then
far as
put
I'm
it
concerned. Because
on
they
them
they
to make
felt-
the decision.
I mean, that's my feeling, and now you've kind of expressed yours in the
Yes.
same manner. Anyone else want to express anything differently?
I'd like to know what the feedback was from,
Microphone.
this was a public hearing at the city council.
It was a presentation at the December public hearing before city council.
Okay, and the people from the neighborhood were there. Could they have commented on that, or did they not? I'm sure they did, no? It was a public hearing?
Mm, I'm not
Jennifer?
aware.
I don't
I wouldn't
remember
know.
going to that meeting.
I will say that presentations normally don't allow for public comment. However, there is citizens forum at the end of the council meeting where all citizens can come in and address any of their concerns.
So this didn't go out to the public for discussion at that one?
It was not a workshop or it was a
Okay.
presentation.
Right.
It was for informational purposes.
Right.
That kind
And
of
if-
puts us in a quandary. I mean,
Well, the way I see it, again, is, the commission went ahead and did this, then let's let them take the responsibility to straighten out this mess with the developers. And I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not going to vote for this the way it was presented to
I
us,
understand it.
and just pass it on to them as we don't recommend the project as it was presented to us. And then the ball is in their court, sir, as far as I'm concerned.
I see, I concur in what you're saying. I just like I'm in a quandary here. I don't know what the neighbors in that area want. The last time they were here, they were adamantly against this
Right.
project.
And,
So we come
and
up
so
with a
we-
program that we're gonna have to put the infrastructure in there regardless.
right,
And even if we turn it down, we say no, and it goes to the city council, and they say no, they still have to put that infrastructure in there. And any developer that's gonna have to come in the future, he's still gonna, or if they still go along with this project, they're still gonna have to retain the stormwater on there. But I
Right.
think where we're doing this now is like we're putting the cart before the horses, and, it's just, we're in a quandary here. I'm,
well,
really,
Again,
with
my-
conscience, I don't think these people
Us-
want it there.
right. Us rejecting it will send a message to the
I'm not trying to send a
council
message,
that-
but I just think that we're in
No,
a
I
quandary.
know.
I think, anybody, that's my comment, but.
Well, any other comments before Chair calls for a vote?
Can I abstain from voting? Because I wasn't here for the previous meeting, so I'm not, it seems like there's a lot of back and forth about something that I wasn't pertaining to. Go to,
Yeah. Yeah, you have to leave the podium. And we'll call you when,
What happened? Conflict?
no, he wasn't here at the last meeting with the discussion, so we don't want him to have any influence over, Mr. Bob, comments, sir? Any?
I just recall that at the meeting, there was a lot of a resistance from the residents, and we did have some questions. I think at this point, we all really kind of recall what happened, and we should probably just take it to a vote. And
All right,
Well, if you have any questions about the concerns that were raised, if you go to the staff report,
right,
in there is a sort of a summary and the concerns that were expressed by
now,
the neighbor.
bear in mind, when it does go to the city council, is there a public hearing, Debbie, during that item? So the folks can go to that meeting and express their voice to them, even if we,
Yes, sir.
as a parent, that this is going to be sent to them with a no, a no
Recommendation.
approval recommendation to not approve it. So let's go ahead and, I'm going to do this on a roll call.
Need a motion?
Do I have a motion? First of all, I'm asking for a vote on this. Does anyone have a motion to vote on this item? Are there no motion
We're gonna make a motion
to vote on this?
okay, I make a motion that we vote on the item.
All right, do I have a second on Mr. Eads'?
Well,
Vote on
You-
what, sir?
it's a
or
motion to
down?
either recommend for or against
Right,
the application.
okay.
What you said, okay? I'm sorry?
What is your?
We make a motion that we turn it down.
All right, there's a motion to deny approval of the item,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Blemmer. This will be a roll call vote. Mr. Bob? Yes is the means,
Turn it
To
down.
deny.
turning it down, yes, correct. Everybody understand that? By us voting yes, that means that we're turning this down. All right, Ms. Blemmer?
Yes.
Yes. For Ms. Blemmer. Mr. Each?
Yes.
Mr. Each is a yes. Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Yes, and Chairman Ernst, yes. So the motion passes to move this to City Council with not approving the item for non-approval.
Yeah.
All right,
It's just,
that item is
I feel like
closed.
we're in a quandary, because I like the idea of home ownership over there, and I like the idea of townhouses. But I think the people that live there, they have a right also, and they don't want to be flooded out. It's,
Yeah.
And I think to what we've said several times, it sends a clear message to the council that there are some work that needs to be done with the infrastructure before we bring in development. And until they do that work, then anything that is brought forth for that area will be denied, because the people have decided that until the work is done, they do not want to see development. And I think that is the right thing to do.
All right, thank you, Ms. Blumer. Let's go ahead and move on to the tonight's other agendas.
Mr.
Mr.
Chair.
Attorney, I forgot to ask you, do we have any quasi-judicial proceedings? We do.
Yes, so I'll give my summary if
All right.
the chair is ready. So this is a summary of quasi-judicial procedures, which applies to the first two items on today's agenda. It did apply to the third item, however, those procedures were already satisfied with the prior public hearing. So these rules apply to applications on specific parcels of land like zoning map amendments, special exceptions, variances, and conditional use requests. The commission will sit like a court, hence the term quasi-judicial, reviewing the facts presented at the hearing, applying the adopted rules as explained by staff in the staff report and verbally. Commission members can make site visits but must disclose the evidence upon which they intend to rely from that visit. Commission members will disclose at the beginning of the hearing whether they have had communications with individuals on behalf of the applicant or otherwise, including who the communication was with and what the topic of the discussion was. All persons intending to speak to the commission will be sworn by the clerk. The staff will make a presentation and the commission may ask questions. The applicant will then make a presentation, including expert witnesses, if any. The commission may ask questions of the applicant or witnesses. When the public hearing is open, the public can make comments on the application limited to 2 minutes each. Citizen testimony must be fact-based, not opinion. Commission may ask questions, and the applicant's attorney, if any, may ask questions under cross-examination. Members of the public can decline to be cross-examined. Commission deliberates based upon the evidence presented. The commission's decision must be based upon competent, substantial evidence, meaning based on the record, staff presentations, expert presentations, and fact-based comments by citizens, according to the standards for approval set forth in the city code. The commission may then approve, deny, or continue the item. While staff previously read into the record emailed or mailed comments, we have concluded this is improper in quasi-judicial proceedings, as the person sending the comments is not sworn and there's no opportunity for cross-examination. Written comments submitted before the meeting are part of the record and available for review by the commission. Lastly, we ask each of you to treat this proceeding with respect and proper decorum, no calling out, interrupting speakers, or disrupting the proceeding. Please give this proceeding the same dignity and respect as if you were in court. Disruptions are prohibited and enforceable pursuant to the city code. Please also silence your cell phones. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Held. Mr. Held, I'd like to go ahead and swear in before I read the item, if I could, please. Anyone wishing to speak on item PC 1771, the first item up on tonight's agenda? This is regarding the property location at 1047 Northeast 132nd Street. So if you're here to speak on that, please rise. And Madam Secretary, if you can make note, please, of those who wish to speak against this. I'm going to go ahead and read the oath.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You were supposed to sign in, so just to make sure that the people who signed the paper are the ones who are coming up, I'm going to go ahead and call them. Is that okay?
All right.
I'll be keeping time, 2 minutes per person. Who would like to come up first?
Well, let's have our
Wait.
staff, I have to read the item in first.
Oh,
Yeah, we have to read the item in
Sorry.
first, and then staff will make the report, and then the petitioners, and then we'll open the public hearing, I believe. Okay, thank you, since I know it's, I think we all got a little out of sync here with changing the item around. All right, so the item tonight, the first item on the agenda, or the second item on the agenda, PC Resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving an application for a conditional use permit in substantially the attached form for the development of 9 two-story townhomes and 15 surface parking spaces on one parcel of real property located at 1047 Northeast 132nd Street, folio number 06-2229-050-0460, and totaling approximately .55 acres, in accordance with Article 3, Division 4, Section 3-42 through 3-407, Article 4, Division 2, Sections 4-202, Section 4203, parentheses A, and Section 4-205, and Article 4, Division 3, Section 4-305 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances, Chapter 29, entitled Land Development Regulations, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. May we have staff report, please?
Good evening, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. For the record, Debbie Love, City Planner, Community Planning and Development. The project you have before you tonight is a 9-unit townhome development. It is located in the R2 zoning district and also located within the NRO. The request is for 6 floating bonus units to develop the 2-story, 9-unit townhome development. It's a little over half an acre, and it's located at 1047 Northeast 132nd. As I said, it is low density R2, but it is within the NRO. And within the NRO, due to the project size, as you all recall, in the NRO, they can do 90 units per acre and up to 90 feet. Based upon the size of the property, it could accommodate 49 dwelling units. The project is for 9 townhome units in 2 buildings. So the average unit size in the staff report, there's a typo, it said it was 660 something. It is actually 1,230 square feet each unit.
Repeat that, Debbie, please.
Yes, sir.
1,000?
Its average is 1,230 square feet a
Okay.
unit.
Thank you.
Certainly, sir. They are proposing grass block surface parking. One of our concerns, as you know, when we do surface parking is the heat island effect. So by using the grass blocks, it allows more percolation, it's permeable, and will not contribute to the heat island effect as with the typical parking surfaces. Along the front, they are proposing a 25-foot wide landscape plaza along Northeast 132nd. There's a masonry wall that will go all the way around the property on 3 sides. They'll do, of course, as they're required, 100% Florida native vegetation. They're going to do that same 10% increase over the minimum stormwater retention, so they're going to be doing enhanced stormwater retention on the site, and the project will be LEED or a national equivalent green build. The economic impact is that it's a small project at 9 units, so during construction, it'll have 19 short-term indirect and direct jobs. It is being proposed that the construction period is generally about 2 years. Could be shorter than that, and during that time, construction wages and expenditures would be about $1 million. The city will collect a little over $21,000 annually in ad valorem taxes, and the impact and development fees, the one-time impact and development fees that the applicant will pay to the city is just under $46,000 annually. These elevations, and the applicant is here, they have a presentation for you. These are elevations of the project. When they came before us initially for the design, we said you need to stay low scale. We don't want to see, even though it says you can do 90 feet, we don't want to see 90 feet. So it's 2 stories. We told them it needed to look closer to single-family home than big blocky apartment building. So they came back with this is what the elevations will look like, and as part of the DRC review that they'll go through, this is what we anticipate the project ultimately to look like. They'll have to maintain the architectural design that you see before you, something very similar to this. They will have to install a 6-foot wide sidewalk along the northeast 132nd Street frontage. And then, of course, those sustainability commitments that they've made regarding green design, they'll also have to maintain those commitments as well. We anticipate March 28th, this project moving forward to City Council for their review, and then after, assuming that it does get approved by City Council, it would then move forward to the Development Review Committee, where it will be, they'll look at the stormwater, they'll look at some of those other issues that are not fully addressed, because right now, at this stage, it's conceptual. And then it will come back to City Council for final site plan approval. And with that, that is the end of staff's presentation. The applicant is here to make a presentation and answer any questions that you might have.
Just a quick question to staff. Debbie, just for clarification.
Yes, sir.
On R2, R2 is single residential, just so I get definition of terms of R2.
R2 is low density, and in R2, the density is 5.1 dwelling units per acre. So as of right, going through the plotting process, they could potentially have more than that, more than one.
Did the overlay allow that, or?
No, you can do that now. If
And
you
any
ha- if you
R2?
can- In any R2, you can go through the
Like-
plotting process, and as long as you meet the lot size
I had
requirements, you can.
thought that once it was called R2, or given that residential component, that only one unit
No, sir.
per
It's
per
5
property,
point-
or
it's five-
single-family
No.
dwelling.
No, sir. It's based upon lot size and configuration. So if you have a property in R2 that is large enough to be platted and you can meet the minimum lot sizes and frontages and access, you could have more than one dwelling unit. So,
Well,
but the-
yeah, but in that case, it would be like a granny house or something like that, right? Because I thought we had allowed that to take place.
Well, you do. We do allow that. We do allow one
Right.
for each particular parcel.
But again,
However, they could go through the platting process and split the parcel up and
in
have more
any
than one
R2
dwelling
district,
unit.
in other words, someone that lives in, let's say, Breeswept, it's a single-family dwelling neighborhood. What you're saying is that they could go in there and buy 2 parcels of property, 2 homes, and decide to split that up and put townhomes on there rather than replace it with single-family houses. So what you're
No,
telling me?
sir. No, you're.
Well, so what's the
you're
difference between that?
confused.
This is where I'm getting
Let me-
confused.
Let me help you with that little bit of confusion, sir. Our code does not say one house, one lot. Our code says 5.1 dwelling units per acre. Now, in order to get that, you have to go through the platting process to formally divide the parcels up. But they have to still meet the minimum lot size that's required in R2. And we have a frontage minimum, we have a length minimum, and we have a square footage minimum. So as long as they meet all of those, you can subdivide the property and build more than one unit if you can meet all of those requirements.
This is the first, you'll have to forgive me, but this is the first, I think, that we've been faced with something like this for R2, that I can
It's because
recall.
we haven't brought you many developments in the NRO that
Basically, the NRO changed the game.
back in 2007.
But if, let's say that if you're not a part of the NRO,
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
yes,
to staff. So they are getting the additional bonus units to go from 5 to 9 through the NRO.
They are getting they have 2 dwelling units currently on the site,
Right.
right? So there are 2 dwelling units on the site. They are getting credit for the 2, and then they're requesting the remainder to come out of the floating unit pool
Okay. Now,
for 9 units. for
so,
total 9 units.
but this is because of the overlay.
That's correct, sir. Which is why
Is this,
you all.
is this one and the same overlay that we're taking out now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And for that reason.
So when Tallahassee sends us back the new comp plan,
Well, we expect to get their comments back in May, and it'll come back for second readings sometime after that, and then 31 days after that is adopted at second reading, it will become
and at
effective.
that point, those bonus units would go away.
The ability to develop the inner row boundary, if you're not multifamily or you're not in a PCD, because we do have, remember, we have a lot of the PCD overlays, a lot of the properties that's also in the inner row. So if you're in an R2 inside the current NRO, once that goes away, this type of development, you won't be able to you won't be able to do it. Because right now, the NRO is what allows them to go through the conditional use permit to get the additional units. And based upon what the code allows and the fact that it's low scale density, meets all the requirements, it is now before you, for you all to review and make a decision.
Okay.
thank you. All right, well, we'll hear a presentation from the developer. We'll have a public hearing. We'll open a public hearing and let those that are here to wanting to speak on it. So Debbie, if you'll make your introduction again of the developer.
The
Yes.
applicant is here to make a presentation and answer any questions you have for you.
Thank
They're
you.
here at the podium.
Yes, thank you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you doing? My name is Germán Agudelo. I'm the architect for the project. And just don't want to go over the whole presentation again because Ms. Love did a great job on presenting the entire project. I just want to be brief and just mention that my client is proposing 9 units where 49 units will be allowed to develop. And however, we're in compliance with everything that the code is asking for and more. Let me just go over really quick a few of our images. Are you looking one of the renderings right now, correct? Yeah. Okay. Okay, the proposed project is a 9-unit townhome community to be located at 1047 Northeast 132nd Street. This community was designed to provide the residents with a comfortable and aesthetically pleasing community. Along with ample green areas, the residents will enjoy the use of the plazas to be located at the entrance of the community. We have designed, let me show you a little bit more. Right at the front, we have some pedestrian plazas with green areas, benches, architectural design, lighting fixtures, and a lot of landscaping, so that we're bringing a nice plaza to the community. It's not just one building, but it's open, creating something new to the community, enhancing the facades, and also we're bringing the building towards the front, so we have more of an urban reading on the street, on the facade of the building, and passing the parking spaces towards the back. So we want to see the building, we don't want to see the parking spaces nor the dumpster, and that's the intention here. Here we have we had to present details of each individual item that we wanted to have, as to the type of benches, the materials, the lighting, the fencing, and everything has been provided for the city to review and approve. As Ms. Love showed, these are the proposed elevations. We have 2 buildings, one with 5 units and one with 4 units. They're going to be low density, low scale, 2 stories only. And let me go really quick. The floor plans is for a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathrooms units. And these are the facades with ample, a lot of landscaping, 100% native trees, and bicycle parking. These are more renderings of the elevations, and that's about it. Just making sure that we are also in compliance with, we had in mind the principles of green architecture, such as high efficiency air conditioning units, Energy Star rated equipment, and appliances, LED fixtures. 100% of the trees are going to be native, and also to reduce the heat island effect by using roofing materials having a solar reflectance index equal or greater than that's required, and also using grass pavers in the parking lot. So that's about it. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter who did get sworn in, please feel free to step up to the podium. I believe, Madam Secretary, you will make note who we have coming forward. Those wishing to speak, please step forward. Public hearing is now open. Good evening, sir. May I have your name and address, please?
Good evening. My name is Paul Barrett. I live at 1060 Northeast 132nd Street. I'm directly across from the east end of that property. I've resided there for the majority of my 70 years, and I object to this because this area is detached homes. These are not town homes. These are all detached with yards, and it's residential. It's always been residential, and I feel that this is a unacceptable for this area, and I object.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to come up forward, speak on this, please step forward. Good evening, sir. May I have your name and address?
Sean Friedel, 1035 Northeast 133rd Street. Early this morning, I walked around my block, the block of the subject property. And I'm trying to keep this all fact-based, by the way. I counted the cars. It's an average of 2.7 cars per home on that block. If you multiply that times 9, you've got 24.3. That's 9 extra cars for the people that will be living on this property. We already have a parking problem on that block. When you talk about Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays, and parties, add some more cars that'll be parking right on the swale, right? And they're taking away, by the way, nice couple trees, but they're taking away some swale parking as well. Add on trash day, recycle day, bulk pickup. What happens then? When you squeeze 9 properties onto what used to be 1, I guess there's a couple of dwellings, I'm just learning, but they're smaller dwellings than 3-2. That's a fact. Something is going to squeeze out. This is a permanent change that they're applying for. A permanent change for this property, not a temporary change. And when you compare the green that they will bring in versus the green that we will be losing, because this is a totally green property with very large trees, again, a fact, I would hate to see that happen. And the last fact is I will be getting a button made that says no NRO. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
sir.
Anybody
Anyone else wishing to speak on this, please step forward. Good evening.
Hi, my name is Yukari Takakura, 1050 Northeast 132nd Street. I am opposing this development as presented. At the council meeting on January 10th this year, presentation was made by city planning consultants to update the comprehensive plan. In the presentation, consultants recommended that NRO needed to be removed because it became obsolete. And actually, NRO is hurting single-family homes by encroachment of higher density and intensity. They also recommended to do more to protect single-family homes, not only in the NRO, but throughout the city. Consultants also explained that floating units allocated for NRO will be easily compensated by overlay on Northwest 7th Avenue and transit overlay by Northeast 125th Street. Passing this project and giving 6 additional units are completely against what city planning director and consultants recommended and approved by the councils and this planning commission. Please work out alternative plan with less units so there will be less impact in surrounding existing single-family homes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Takakura. Next speaker.
Yes, I'm David Schultz at 1040 Northeast 132nd Street. Since the city council already voted on this NRO, we really need to be aware. We really should have okay, I'm not opposing the project. We need to reduce the amount of units. I would like to see a good size units rather than quantity. These little tiny 1,200 square foot narrow townhouses with first floor living area, 560 square feet, not including bath, laundry, AC, and kitchen cabinets, will only leave 360 square feet for these families to live. This project is inadequate parking for tenants and guests. It needs ample parking in green park area for children so they don't have to play in the streets. Please reduce the amount of units so it'll blend into the single family and protect these type of encroachment developments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Do we have anyone else who'd like to speak?
Good evening, sir. Name and address, please.
Good evening, North Miami, Pavel Aragon, 1065 Northeast 132nd Street. I'm here tonight to express my support and to let you guys know that I completely agree with the North Miami City to delete this NRO. We buy a house in a single family community. The house and the neighbor that is on the side of this big construction that they are planning to do. My family, my son, 13 years, we're gonna need to be moving because all the beautiful parking space gonna be next to the pool that we built in our backyard, where we can now see a lot of beautiful trees and we can see birds. Thinking around, I'm gonna have 15 cars going in and out. I want to know who is voting for this will be agreed to have that living next to the property where you have your family. I don't think so. I just want to have some time for us, for the neighbors, for the ones that are getting impacted for this. This is not going to be, guys, only impacting real estate, the price of the property. It's not that. It's the value of the quality life for me and my family. Living next to this beautiful plaza, we have a plaza over there. I buy a house in North Miami 3 years ago in a single family home community. I don't know if you guys know or if we review it, I'm not aware of that, but what is the environment impact that this is gonna be doing to those oak that we have over there that have 350 years? We're gonna replace it with fake grass? That's not exactly what we are looking for this. And like my neighbor was explaining before, we are agree they can build something, but 9 two-story townhouses with 15 parking space next to my backyard? Guys, get in my shoes. I have 2 options. Or you guys do something for us, or I need to move.
All right, sir,
Sorry,
thank you.
and thank you for the time.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
apologize.
Thank you.
Aragon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to come up and speak? Anyone? Okay.
Good evening, sir. Please
Please state
state-
your name and address.
Good evening. Yes, council members, good evening.
Sir,
what is-
I need you to please
Oh,
state your name
Andrew
and
Russell, I
address.
live at
Thank you.
1090 Northeast 132nd Street, on that block. I don't believe that the development is in accordance with Article 3, Division 4, Section 3, as stated. By the way, as residents, we only got this information Friday. There's this whole thing with with all the architectural plans. We've never seen any of that until Friday, and we're coming up and having to speak about that now. I don't believe, though, that it is in accordance. As my neighbor said, the quality of life is definitely going to change. That is one of the things. 4057, two-story property, 15 parking spaces in the middle of the block, one-story single-family homes will greatly impact livability of adjacent properties. The American constitutional law is the idea that individuals in the United States have a reasonable expectation of privacy. This is a right to be free from invasion in their own private space, including their yards and backyards. This construction, being the only two-story building in one-story zone, forces neighbors to have to change their expectation of their privacy, their lifestyles, how they might invest in their backyards. 9 compact rental townhomes, 15 parking spaces, adversely impacts property values. He mentioned. Let's see. I'm also weary of cars speeding out of the just the in and out. I guess there's going to be parking inside of it, or towards the back, which would be flush up against neighborhood properties. He was
I'm so
mentioning
sorry,
that this
Mr.
would be.
Russell. Your time is up.
Yeah, two
Yes.
minutes are up, sir.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak on this, please come forward. Good evening, sir. State your name and address, please, for the record.
It's Martinez, Dario Martinez.
Walter Martinez?
It's 1031 Northeast and 132nd Street. I buy this house 23 years ago. I come into the city. That property is 100 for 137. I remember I come into the city 16 years ago for split the property in two. Here in the first floor, sent to me to the zoning and planning department. Go there, I speak with the lady. The lady tell me, oh, Mr. Martinez, no split in two, because good construction, a good house, more better, but no permit for a split and lot in two. It's 100 for 137. It's big. No. The lady tell me this. Why 16 years ago tell me no permit for split the lot in two? Now somebody tried to construction 9 townhouses for little lot. It's 9 families coming to this place, but the family is coming with the children. It's too small for 9 properties. It's a lot of cars. This lot is for 3 houses, not for 9, because it's 50, 50, and 50, the lot property. This is, my house is 100 for 137. It's it's coming here because it's not good for the area. The developers thinking money, construction, sell and go, make money. No think in the people in there. Money, construction. 9 townhouses is 3 millions. $1.5 million for pocket. The people live there, no, I don't care. That's the problem. The city, I need to open the eyes, because now I have a lot of people buy up big properties for construction. That's now make money. Not think of the people 30-year-old, my children. I have 4 children, and my mother, my father, 80-year-old.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, Mr.
Thank you so much.
Martinez.
God
Thank
bless
you.
him.
Thank you, sir. Good evening.
We have anyone else who would like to
Anyone
speak?
else wishing to speak on this item?
Anyone? Thank you.
If
Please
you're going
state
to
your
speak,
name
please line
and-
up at the podium. If you
Yes.
haven't spoken and you need to speak,
Yeah.
please line up at the podium, please.
And please state your
My
name
name
and
is
address.
Anelia Lewis. I live in 1068 Northeast 132nd Street, close to me where that's.
Ma'am, were you previously sworn?
Yes,
Excuse me?
oh, she was in the room at the time.
Or did she stand and was
Oh,
sworn?
did you stand and,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay,
she
thank
was-
you.
What's your address?
And as a reason I'm coming up, because I'm living there more than 30 years. And I have my son, 5 years coming blind, he's 30 years old. Now, when I tell him what going to be happening, nice building go to be back, he say, Mommy, where I go to be walk? Now I can't walk by myself. I say, well, city have to do something for us, because now, when a church and a Shalom Church in 132nd and 9th Avenue, when it packed up, we don't even have a way to go home. And the church them have to leave. But why now, no, we have about 9 units, so many children go to be coming, a lot of person go to be there, how we go to be live and in that area with a 2-unit house, with a 15 parking there, lot of cars. Now when we put the garbage out, all of us put the garbage out. When I have to park the car, I don't even have a way. The tree parked up there, the city make some trees. It's very difficult for us to have an old that apartment coming to that area. When I'm coming there in 1993, it was very nice neighborhood. Paul was there with a single house. Everything looked like a nice. That area was looked bad for more than 3 years. Raccoon keeping killing us every night. I have to put the water on. It never clean. Now they want to make the money. 1, 2, 3. He up. He clean. Now city prove it for us to live and look like a park. I don't think so. The decision for single family, for single house. Now we have an apartment coming us to us. Especially my neighbor. When he got a pool near to it, where the parking go to be, this where the pool is. That's mean no peaceful for the area. Please, I'm coming up, especially for my son blind. He need a peaceful. He's 30 years old. He just when he was 5 years blind, he not born blind. Transition got to be 2 years. Sometimes he don't sleep at all. Please, I come for favor. I don't mind 2-unit house. I don't mind for family house, but not a building. Please, we live there, but them come to make a business and go. But we go to live that area.
Okay,
Thank you.
Ms. Lewis.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Okay,
Next,
is there a Walter? Walter? No, you're okay? All right, I believe that's it, sir.
that's it. Okay, going once, going twice. I see no other persons coming to the podium. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Public hearing is now closed. I now open the discussion to the commission. Let's start with Mr. Clark down at the end. You wish to weigh in on this item, sir?
Yeah, I think for me, this is very clear cut. I think as a commission, we voted to dissolve the NRO as part of our comprehensive plan. I think it's very clear cut. The decision we make here is going to have a dramatic impact on the residents. I think they voiced their opinion. For me, it's a very clear cut decision on how to proceed. So I'll let my fellow commissioners speak, but I would like to put a motion to deny.
Well, let's, at this moment, we'll go ahead and
Correct.
listen to everybody. If I could go ahead and allow everyone first, sir, if you wish to withdraw that for the moment, or put
Yes.
that motion on hold? Thank you, sir. Ms. Blumer?
I agree 100% with Edwidge. This is clear. I don't feel that there's much more to discuss.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Bob?
I think there are two sides to it. There are some benefits in providing an opportunity for rental units for people to rent. Not everyone can be a homeowner. However, just kind of the way that neighborhood is, I mean, aside from what's been raised with the NROs, but just kind of the way that neighborhood is, putting in the 9 townhomes in that area just kind of seems like somewhat of a burden on the area as opposed to keeping it, in line with ownership. But I'm not really in support of it, but for the NRO reason, one, and then two, just because of how that area already is, I think 9 units is quite a bit for that area there.
Thank you, sir. Chief Each? You have the floor, sir.
Well, I had a few questions to, I wanted to ask the architect there. I noticed, I see the parking on one side of one plan, then the parking's on the other side on the other plan, where one's bordering the street and the other one's bordering the rear of the property. And you're saying we have 9 units, and how many spots are we getting? 18, or was that?
15.
15. Aren't we supposed to have 2?
No.
How many are we supposed to have, Deb?
1.5 parking spaces.
1.5? Okay.
Per unit.
Per unit?
Plus
Okay.
5% of the total required parking for guests. So
1.5.
They're required to do 15, and they are to do something.
Okay. I don't know if you've seen that, if you picked up on that or not, but you had the parking, one schematic to the north of 132nd Street in the back, and then the other one I'm looking at, it's right there in the front on 132nd.
That was from the original
Oh, okay.
traffic.
Okay.
Sorry, that was from the original traffic study.
I just heard these people tonight saying nobody got with them until, when was it, last week, Monday, Friday, whatever. You, the developer, the architect, did you ever think about getting with the neighborhood and getting their concerns? I mean, this has been a residential neighborhood ever since its inception, and now we're putting 9 townhouses in there, and we're gonna have all of this traffic coming in. I just don't see it. And then these are small town. I heard one of the citizens over here say, I'd rather see a couple of nice big houses in there than the small ones. And I would too. I'd rather see something that's going to improve the quality of life in that neighborhood. And you're looking at 1,200 square feet. That's an awful small townhouse. I just, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yes. No, I completely understand their point. I'm the architect, I'm not the developer. However, the developer is within the right to produce something that is in compliance with the code, what the code allows, and he's within the right to request and use and the density that is allowed within all the setbacks, green area requirements that the code requires, and it's in full compliance. So I do understand their point, but also understand the point of view of my client who wants to take advantage of what's available and he's complying with everything.
Well, I'm looking at it from a different point of view. I'm looking at it about the impact it's going to have on the neighborhood and the quality of life, the parking, the traffic. That's something that I have to be able to judge. And the way I feel about it, I just think it's not going to have a positive impact on that neighborhood from that standpoint. Thank you.
Mr. McDermott, and we'll do a summation.
I'm in agreement with Edwidge, plus the fact that I think that these are single-family homes, single-family neighborhood, and to plop a rental unit, now we all know we need rental units. We're all aware of that. I'd like to see some home ownership somewhere. you know, that would be really nice. You know, but these are gonna be rental units, you have no idea who's gonna move in there. You know, I mean, they could, you know, you have no control over that. The neighborhood doesn't have any control over that. So, I think, you know, in addition, as I say, I agree with what Edward has to say.
Thank you, sir. In summation to staff, it's my feeling that when we convened a month or two ago and did away with this NRO, the overlay district, and the comp plan, we probably were short-sighted in the fact that we should have put a moratorium in place so that this exact incident wouldn't have happened. And it appeared that somebody just has taken advantage of the situation and tried to sneak something in before this was going to go away. And I think that's kind of not on us as planners, but maybe on the city. To me, it's a big oops that we didn't realize that something like this could have happened. And
Mr. Chair.
yes, sir, Mr. Hill.
So actually, I went into the LDRs and looked, and there is authority to issue a moratorium, and you can certainly treat it as if there was. So you don't have to approve this. You can recognize for yourself that there is essentially
There
a
is
policy in
a
place.
moratorium that we
Was a
could.
moratorium?
Well, you can treat, I'm saying there is not a moratorium,
Right.
but you can treat it as a matter of policy that you would not act in furtherance of a provision that you've recommended and the city has promoted to the state of abolishing the NRO.
Correct. Until this comes back as a removal of the NRO, it hasn't been officially sanctioned, correct? Or the state hasn't.
That's correct. The law is still in place as it was. The NRO is still in place as it is. This is why the
Right.
staff report says it meets all of the code requirements.
Correct. Yeah, we understand
So you
that.
don't have it, we don't have anything as far as changes, so it's not in effect yet.
Right. So, on your advice, sir, are we empowered to issue any kind of a moratorium?
You don't need to. All you need to do is recommend denial
All
based
right.
upon the action of the city in removing the NRO.
Okay. All right.
I'm okay with that.
All right. Okay. Wanted to get-
Before we vote, I know that you're the architect and you're not the builder. What is the name of the builder?
Capital Broker and U.S. Housing.
I'm sorry?
Capital Broker,
Copy Lot?
Capital.
Capital.
Sorry. Capital.
And the other company is U.S. Housing.
I believe it's on the,
Yes, Capital Brokers.
Capital
Capital
Brokers.
Brokers.
Thank you.
all right. Well, I mean, you can see our direction we're going here. I don't have anything further to say. I want this not to be approved, so I'm just going to go ahead and call for a motion to deny approval.
I so moved.
Mr. Each has moved for not approving the item, seconded by Ms. Lemur. We'll do a roll call vote on this. Mr. Bob?
Denied.
Right.
Correct, sir.
Yes for denial. Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Yes for denial. Mr. Each?
Yes.
Yes for denial. Mr. McDermott?
Yes.
Yes for denial. Ms. Lemur?
Yes for denial.
Denial. And Mr. Ernst, Chair, also votes denial for approval, votes yes for denial. Okay, so this will go to the commission with a vote of denial based on the fact that they should know that we're doing this because we recognize that in January we did away with the NRO, and to us this denial is more or less a moratorium that should be put in place for any further further plans that would be governed by that NRO. or any plan that would be affected by the NRO that's being,
Well, it wouldn't be too expensive. There's an application before you,
Right.
and that's what you're taking action on.
right, okay.
Just the application.
Right, just the application. All right, I just want to make sure that we cover all the bases on that. So, now that doesn't guarantee that somebody's going to come forward again while this is still in
And there may
action.
very well be a desirable project that you would want to approve, but,
Right.
you
Correct.
know, so.
I understand what you're
This particular one
saying,
you're
sir.
voting to deny.
Yes.
Right.
All right, thank you. Sir. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next item. We thank those who came forward to speak on this item. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone. The next item up will be, try to get the right numbers here. This is PC 17-72, resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving an application for a conditional use permit and substantially the attached form for a proposed three-story, 9-unit apartment building with an integrated parking structure containing 15 parking spaces on parcel real property located at 12116 Northeast Fifth Avenue, identified with Miami-Dade County folio number 06-2230-031-0290 and totaling approximately 0.34 acres in accordance with Article 3, Division 4, Sections 3-402 through 3-407, Article 4, Division 2, Sections 4-202, Sections 4-203, parentheses A, Sections 4-205 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances, Chapter 29, entitled Land Development Regulations, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. This is, Mr. Held, is this a quasi-judicial proceeding?
Yes, sir.
Okay, at this point then, I would like to go ahead and swear in anyone wishing to speak on this item. I see two people and nobody else. Madam Secretary, note that it's staff, Ms. Love and the petitioner, representative for the petitioner, the only two people. And so we'll go ahead and swear them in if you could, please.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
And also, I believe we need to have any disclosures from the commission on this item. If anyone has had any conversation or talked to anyone regarding this,
No.
either
No.
for or against.
No.
I hear none from the commission. Very good. Staff report, please.
Good evening. Again, for the record, Debbie Love, City Planner, Community Planning and Development. Before you is another conditional use permit. This project is requesting 3 floating units from our residential pool. The subject property is 0.34 acres. It is located at 12116 Northeast Fifth Avenue. The property is currently vacant, and as you can see on the bottom image, the zoning and land use, the zoning is R5 in that area. And as you know, R5 is multifamily, and if you're in the multifamily zone, you have an opportunity through the conditional use permit to request up to an additional 25 dwelling units per acre. And this applicant is requesting three floating units in order to develop a 3-story, 9-unit apartment building. It has integrated parking underneath the building, as well as 7 surface parking spaces, as the other one project did, using grass blocks. Along the front is a 15-foot wide landscape plaza along Northeast Fifth Avenue. This project will include a tot lot. They are proposing a masonry wall around 3 sides of the property. And again, as we always require, the native vegetation, 100% Florida native vegetation. They're looking to do LEED or an equivalent certification. And as almost all of our projects, we will be requiring enhanced stormwater management for this project. The economic impacts are 13 short-term direct and indirect jobs during the construction period, with about $731,000 in salaries and expenditures anticipated. The city would get in $15,750 annually in ad valorem and a one-time infusion of about $43,000 in impact and development fees. The conditions for this are the typical. However, you'll see that it's one of the things that they have to do, just as the previous development, is the 6-foot wide sidewalk along Northeast Fifth Avenue. Many of our sidewalks are either 4 or 5 feet, so if you're not on a major corridor, you have to install a 6-foot wide sidewalk. If you're on a major corridor, it's a 10-foot wide sidewalk. And they will have to maintain their sustainable commitments. Again, we are anticipating tentatively as the March 28th before City Council. As always, they'll have to then apply for DRC, assuming they are approved at City Council, and then come back to City Council once again for final site plan approval. That is the end of staff's presentation, and the applicant is here to make a brief presentation and answer any questions for you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening again.
You're the architect or the developer on this particular project now?
Yes, my name is Germán Agudelo. I'm the architect for the project.
Great. Is the developer here tonight?
Is the only representative is here.
Oh,
but
you? Okay.
He's not the developer.
All right, sir.
Thank you. It's 2160. Thank you again for the opportunity to present this project to you all. This is pretty much has the same concept. This project has the same concept as the previous one. However, this is multi-family, and it's surrounded by multi-family buildings on each side. And also in the front, we have some townhouses, and at the rear, there is a 4-story building in this property. This property is, as I mentioned, R5, and we are proposing to have 9 units, where we could be able to, we are allowed to have 14 units. We're going for a 3-story building, and where we are allowed to have, with 46 feet in height, where we are allowed to have a 75-foot height building. And we are in compliance with the parking requirements. Let me go over here. Let me read a little bit. The proposed project is a 9-unit apartment building divided into 3 stories to be located at 12116 Northeast 5th Avenue. This building was designed to provide the residents with a comfortable and aesthetically pleasing community. Among the amenities that will be provided for the enjoyment of the residents, there is a tall lot with green areas and a plaza at the front, and open terraces and covered terraces in the back as well. The architecture of the proposed building respects and also blends with the community around the existing architecture of the neighborhood. A concrete fence will be surrounding the property, and LED lights and other green principles will be utilized in this project as well. This is the site of the proposed building. Also, the concept is to bring the building towards the front to create an urban look, and pushing the parking spaces towards the back of the building, so they are not inside from the front. At the front, we're creating a plaza again with a lot of landscaping, benches, and very nice light fixtures and pavers. So from the facade, from the front of the building or the lot, you're gonna see a nice plaza with a lot of landscaping and sidewalks coming into the building. Also, we have bicycle parking and a loading zone, and the parking spaces also have green pavers, which reduce the amount of drainage that is gonna be required, and is aesthetically pleasing as well. In the back of the lot, as you can see, we have a tall lot surrounded by green areas and an open terrace and a covered terrace. These are also the proposed elevations of the building. The typical floor plans for the second and third floor. And these are the renderings of the building, which is a very nice building, very modern, with soft colors and a lot of landscaping. Again, 100% native trees we have in this project. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Just for the record, I'm going to open the public hearing one more time. Public hearing is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on this that didn't get sworn in earlier, now's your chance. Seeing none, hearing none, I now close the public hearing. Public hearing is now closed. Okay, I'm now going to open the discussion up to the commissioners. Let's start down with you, Mr. Each. Give you a chance to start off the.
Debbie, what's the, in the middle over there? That's the Biscayne Park Zone, right?
I'm sorry, sir?
Isn't that called the Biscayne Park Zone in that area? Just for my own,
You mean the transition area?
yeah,
Yes,
yeah. So that, how high could they go?
You have to bear with me a
I
moment.
think it was 75 feet there or
75
something,
feet.
no?
If there are. I think
Or
it is
55 feet.
55 feet, yes, sir.
They're going 45, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm, you know, it's, I got a couple of comments, but it's,
It's not
you
in the
know,
transition zone, so let me correct you, let me correct the record, sir.
Yeah,
It is
well-
not in the Biscayne transition zone. It is 75 feet that
How
they
much?
are allowed. They are just away from that, sir.
75,
Yes, sir.
and they're building 45, so
Yes, sir.
they're 3 stories, you're gonna have one apartment on the bottom. And, yeah, no.
I'm trying to remember where this, is this anywhere near the, what is called the Claridge House?
It's, it runs on an angle, Fifth Avenue over there. And it goes to 121st Street. And there were some townhouses on 121st Street. Then on the other side of that, you have Biscayne Park. So
Right.
that's why they kept it at that. But you know, he's within, the developer's within his right to build over there. But I just see more of the same, more of the cookie cutter, cheap apartments going up. I don't mean to be disparaging, and there's nothing,
Nothing imaginative.
nothing that's really hits me with, you know, a sense of pizzazz, you know. I got a playground here instead of a swimming pool, or I got a 3-story building, and I'm gonna put this in. It's just bare bones, and that's his right, and that's my commentary, and, you know, I don't see anything. You know, years ago, back in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, when we started doing 6th Avenue, they did the same thing. And it's just building one house after the other, but nothing of, nothing that stands out that makes you feel proud to live there. And I hope I'm wrong on this project, but I wanted to see a little more pizzazz in that neighborhood, but, you know, it is what it is. You know, that's my editorial comment.
All right.
I mean, he's within they're in their rights to build it. Everything else around it's low rise. I drove through the neighborhood, but, you know, I patrolled it for years. It hasn't changed, you know. This is probably gonna be a good addition to what's there already, along with those townhouses in the
Actually,
back.
we have a higher building right behind this.
I'm sorry?
Actually, there is a higher.
There's a nice condo
yeah.
over there, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a nice one on 121st Street. Yeah.
That's
That's a
the,
nice one, but
the
the other
gardens,
stuff is.
what is it called?
I'm sorry?
The, something or other gardens, apartments, I think you're talking about, right on the corner.
There's one on 121st that faces actually 121st Street. I think it's a 3-story condo, 4-story condo.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ones
It's
right
a nice
behind them.
project. It's
Right.
well owned. Yeah,
Okay.
it's nice. And then there's the townhouses that we
Right.
put in there, but
So,
it is what it is.
right. What you're
And
encouraging.
I would
them-
like to have seen some glamour where people were proud to go into the, you know, maybe I'm thinking outside the, you know, a pool on the roof, maybe 4 stories high, more landscape and more green space, you know. but
Is
it
this
is what it
your,
is, and I'm just-
is this your initial
deciding my
concept, sir?
frustration.
Yeah. To
No,
kind
no,
of-
no, sir. We've been through a lot of revisions and comments from the city, and we've been in contact with the staff and revising the plans. And trust me that this is not a cookie cutter. if you were to design this building, this is not a box at all. Try to incorporate so many elements of the modern architecture. And also, we cannot say that you want to say a higher building because there's a higher building behind us. And we are actually trying to keep the scale of the building.
I understand what you're saying.
Mhm.
These are my preferences. I'm not knocking your building. I don't mean to insult your talent as an architect or your vision as an architect. I just have a different opinion. I wanted to see a little.
Of course.
You know what? You're within your right. I'm not.
But let me give you my opinion
mouth.
also. If you were to put a pool in the roof is one of the worst ideas that you could have, because always there is a leak on the pool. There will always be issues with a pool on the roof. And I will always go advise. And people, my clients also, sometimes they want it, but it's one of the worst ideas to have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. McDermott, sir. You have the
I really don't have any comments other than the fact that I just hope that they try to keep I noticed that well, I'll leave it at that. Other than that, I agree somewhat with Mr. Each. That neighborhood has a specific character to it. And I don't know whether this unit is actually keeping with that character or not. But be that as it may.
It's going to be an improvement to that area. I mean, that's no doubt about it. It's definitely going to improve it.
Ms. Wilmer?
We don't see any of the residents here for this particular project. Were they informed? And not one person came out?
Amen. They're all multifamily around their area. So notices went out, and if they are owners, it went out. If they are renters, it went out to the building management and for notification. So that this area is multifamily. It has all apartments and they're all old apartments. This is the first new apartment that will be going into that area. And at 9 units, there's not a whole lot of, it's not a multi-million-dollar construction project. It's a small-scale development for that particular site. And we'll get more as they come in, we hope this little development will become a catalyst for that area as it continues to redevelop.
I was looking at, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, looking at the various floor plans that you had listed, 4 units at 1,070 square feet, 4 units at 764 square feet, which is 2 bedrooms, 2 bath, that's pretty much what you find nowadays in the city of Miami or Fort Lauderdale or anywhere else. And then there's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1 unit only that's 1,121 square feet. So there's a range from where you have the small units that are being offered, where I'm sure will be, and these are rental again, correct?
As far as we know, that's correct.
Yeah. What would you think the rental price would
As my staff report says, there's a rental range in there. Let me get to that page,
I missed
sir.
it, I'm sorry.
I didn't
That's okay,
see it.
sir. Let me just hop over there. I usually am
My
ready for you
apologies.
all, but I didn't put my markers in my book today, so my apologies. I'm usually jumping right on top of that. There we go. All right, so you have a rental rate of, there's numbers in there. Usually I put them in there. My apologies. I must have not put that in this time. I usually do, so my apologies for that. The applicant should have those numbers on them, however. Strange, I didn't miss that one. What is the rental range?
I'm sorry, I do not have that information with me right now.
It's safe to say this is the same developer, correct?
Yes.
And he or she could not be present to give more information?
The representative is here, correct?
Yes. Let me ask.
Oh, there is a representative here.
Yes.
Does the representative have the information for the rent roll?
I'm sorry, he does not know the value of the estimated rent fee will be at this point.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
The staff,
Yes, sir.
when the petitioner mentioned that he did discuss various changes from the city, are you aware of those, or were you a party
Yes,
as
sir.
to what he started out with and
I
what
manage the
what
entire
changed?
review process,
Okay.
from start
Perhaps
to
you're going to
finish.
enlighten us with what he
There-
did to change.
Architecturally, site layout, there were a number of rounds of review and discussion from what was originally presented to this particular iteration of the project.
Mhm.
So architectural review, site review, several, going back and forth with the applicant, as far as orientation, layout. They also had to deal with the fire department, so there's a whole process to go
Right.
that from the time they submit, I joke with you all, we usually beat them up at the staff level.
Right.
And so what comes before you
So, I mean,
has
he
has
took
had
all the
multiple
necessary
rounds.
steps, and city did encourage him to make changes that were necessary to win approval, or to at least fall within the guidelines of what the city expected
Yes, sir.
as a project.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Clark, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. I'm happy to see that this project is coming forth to the area. I mean, I think it's much needed. I kind of echo Commissioner Each's point. I would have wished we would have done a little better on the design, but that's neither here nor there. I'm fine. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have an architectural review board. We have to kind
But
of.
we do have an architect consultant who does review all of the plans
Oh, I see.
and provides
Okay.
comments and suggested changes, because they go with their code, so yes, we do.
Yes.
Yes.
And they thought that this was the best look?
I mean, it is what it is.
We don't have a specific code that says what your look
Yeah.
is
Right,
going to be.
there's no
There
aesthetic.
are-
Yeah,
There's
it
no
is-
aesthetics.
It
right?
is
Yeah.
subjective.
It is
you know.
subjective.
That's something that we have to kind of deal with and understand when we make these decisions.
Yeah.
And again, we have to, as planners, if the petitioner comes before us, even though we may think it's not with what we think is up to
It's up to him.
our aesthetic likes, we still have to gauge the merits of the project on the fact that what they're providing and that they're following all the guidelines that the city has laid out. So I know it puts us into a quandary of that, but we can't necessarily reject it if we think it's not in our taste, if it meets all the guidelines.
And it
So-
does, because we do have general guidelines in our code that our architect looks to see. Architectural styles we don't have
Sure.
that. We don't say that it all needs to be modern contemporary, or it needs to be Spanish, or anything like that. And my apologies, sir. On page 3 of my staff report, I thought I had put the rental rates in there. It's on page 3. It's ranging from $1,530 to $2,141 per month. So the size ranges from 764 square feet to 1,121 square feet.
For South Florida rates, I would say that's probably within
Yes.
Yes.
living
Yes,
range.
It's actually the lower range,
lower
and it's
range.
anticipated to, if you look, I think I talked about that in my staff report, that it is
Workforce
80 to
housing.
120?
Yeah,
It's the low end of workforce housing.
Correct, sir.
right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bob. I'm sorry, Mr.
No, I was done. Good.
Okay. Mr. Bob?
I actually don't have an issue with the design. I think it's all right. I do think that it's good for the area. The area does need some new construction. I think it'll definitely brighten things up. I think the biggest draw to it all is the pricing. I think for South Florida, getting an apartment for $1,500 to $2,100 is really, really good, which I think is good for those looking to find some affordable housing. So.
And that's the push-pull we have,
Right.
and developers have, is the level of affordability, because the more
Right.
amenities you put in, the higher the cost. You have structured parking. Structured parking adds about $30,000 to the cost of the development of a unit. So,
And I know that's a big issue with the
Yeah.
county.
so
And
one
Dade
of the
County's
reasons why
pushing
we're
that.
encouraging them, if they have to do surface parking to maintain the cost, is to do those grass block parking.
Okay, any other comments before I call for,
Make a motion, we approve.
And I second.
Mr. H. Moves for approval of the project. Mr. McDermott seconds the motion. We'll do a roll call on this also. Mr. Bob?
Yay.
Mr. Bob, yes for approval. Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Clark, yes for approval. Ms. Blumer?
No.
No for approval. And that's it, the final,
Yeah, Mr. Reach, yes.
yes. Okay, and Mr. McDermott, yes. And Mr. Ernst, yes. So it was a six, what do we have for, 5-1 vote for the approval of the project. All right, and that will go forward to the city commission, I guess, next meeting.
We anticipate it on the 28th, but it's tentative because everything is coming in at once, so it may not appear on that agenda depending upon the size of the agenda. So I keep saying it's tentative.
Okay, all right.
Thank you
Um,
very much. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
sir.
you.
Committee reports, any committee reports? We have none.
Charlie,
yes.
just one thing. Councilman Galvin brought up air rights. Debbie, were you aware of that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we are looking into that or anything?
Um,
In other words, we can build over a street or other property. We have that up in New York. The FDR Drive is one, you know, the Cross Bronx Expressway.
Right.
And stuff like that.
I don't think we ever had to worry about that, and air rights.
It was
Not
talk,
right.
he brought it up about maybe building over the Scott Galvin Center. And I don't know if we want to look at that, or if we have the time to, or that has to come from the council. to
We
look at how
haven't
we
looked
would
into
go
it
about
at this
showing
time.
air
We
rights. I
haven't
just-
gotten.
I'm just throwing it
clarity
out
from
there, you
him.
guys research
sorry,
it.
yeah. Let's say again,
So we haven't gotten clarity from Councilman Galvin on what specifically he was looking for, so we haven't done that research yet.
I'm sorry, Jack.
she said that they did not get any clarity from Mr.
Okay.
Galvin with regards to that, but I believe that he has initiated a discussion
He has.
with
It's a
Jennifer.
good idea to look at that.
All right, so any old business?
Yes, sir. The secretary, your board secretary would like to speak to you about the upcoming meeting in July.
It's the 4th of July, and I need you all to decide what you would like to do, because we also have to post it online.
Right.
So
Normally,
if you
we
want to
usually
move it to the
just move
following
it to the
day.
following Tuesday if there's no commission meeting that Tuesday night.
What is that?
That would be council meeting.
The 11th.
Would you be
Then it
agreeable
would become a
towards the
special meeting?
Wednesday, the following day, Wednesday the 5th?
That's
I
council.
won't be available on the 5th.
No? Okay.
No. No, you need to move it to the following Thursday, not a Tuesday. Thursday's generally,
Thursday,
Thursday's
so that would be the
generally
6th, July
4th,
6th,
5th, 6th. Yeah, July
the
6th.
following week.
following
The
week.
following week?
So that would be the 13th?
13th.
July 13th.
Okay.
Anybody?
So everybody agreed to
They're
that?
going to be at their lakefront condo or out on their
Are you
boat?
gonna be yachting? I'll be yachting myself.
Right. Yachting or anything else that?
Martha's
July-
Vineyard?
Martha's Vineyard. Sure.
July 13th work for everyone?
July
July
13th 's fine
13th,
with
Thursday,
me.
July 13th.
And when does
7 o'clock.
council plan on taking their,
2 seconds, I just want to make sure.
I'll be at my mansion in Newport.
yeah,
Commissioner Bob is double checking his schedule. One
Okay.
moment, sir.
Okay.
I guess we can be there.
if you're planning a summer party, we'll be glad to come if you're up in the Hamptons.
I noticed we haven't received that invitation
No, we
yet, sir.
haven't received the invitation yet.
Okay, no, I should be good.
Okay.
Okay,
good.
so it's unanimous, July
Okay.
13th. You'll make note of that?
Thank you,
Oh,
Madam
it's
Secretary.
already on
Thank you
there.
very much.
There's no new business, sir?
Yeah,
Oh.
yes.
Okay, I call for adjournment.
No, there is
No.
some new business.
No new
yes.
business?
The tablets.
Oh, so sorry. We have,
So,
I forgot. This was a last minute add-on. My apologies, sir. Under new business, the secretary would like to share some information with you.
Yes.
So, due to increasing costs, we have incurred some serious overages, and it's gone over our budget for printing out the agendas, the full agendas. So, going forward, we're purchasing tablets. The CRA is doing it, the council is doing it. I can tell you between October and to date, this fiscal year, we have spent, not regular, but because of our overage, over $1,448 on just printing those thick agendas. So going forward, I just wanted to let you know, unless you have a medical reason, we will be providing everybody with a tablet. That's all.
Well,
That's fine.
And the way that it will work is we will send
Yes.
it to you as regular.
Mm-hmm.
Your secretary will be loading each tablet, and it will be in front of you when you come in.
Right.
You'll leave your tablet, we'll collect them and bring it back, just like they do with the CRA now.
Right.
Terrific.
So
I
if
hope
they
you
wanted
guys
to
have an idea.
review an agenda prior to the meeting, they would do it online.
Online, through the package, yes, sir.
And we do get those on a regular basis, so not a problem.
That's it
So-
for me, thank you.
All right, thank you, Sin. All right, now I'll call for adjournment.
So
So moved. We are adjourned.
everybody at one
We
time.
are adjourned. Not bad, folks. Thank you very much. Thank everyone for their input tonight. Greatly appreciate it.
You know what's a nice project? That one that's down the street from you, in that little cul-de-sac.